Shall we start?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Then you hear us. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, hello, and very welcome to our presentation. And first of all, we are so pleased to be here, even if we are not together. It's nice to feel the connection with you all in Spain. And today, as we heard here before, we would like to do a presentation on the current vacancies in Sweden. And we will show you and give you some information about this along the way.
Yeah, and we also would like you to bear with us because we are going to present some of the vacancies that Jeanette and I usually don't work with, but our colleagues here in Sweden, they have special knowledge about them, and you will get all the contact details if you have any further questions that we maybe will not be able to answer today. But you will definitely get some contact details so you can have all the information that you require.
So we EURES advisors here in Sweden, we all work in different sectors. So you can say that we all specialize in different areas. Me, for example, I work mainly with the hospitality area, and I'm working mainly with the teachers, and recently we started to work with veterinarians as well. So, and we have also more sectors, of course, and we will get back to that later on. So the address you see here, eures@arbetsförmedlingen.se, that is, you can say, our customer support. So there you can get some general information about living and working in Sweden. But if you want more detailed information, you should contact the mail addresses you will get later on. Yes.
And please feel free to ask questions, and we will try to answer them the best way we ever can. So I think we can start.
Yeah, the next slide, please.
Yeah, some facts about Sweden. You know, Sweden, if you compare to the size of inhabitants and so on, the special countryside or the total area of Sweden is very large compared to how many inhabitants we are. In fact, we are the third largest country within the EU, and the land is approximately on 450,000 square kilometers. And for the time being, I think we reached the point of 10 million inhabitants. I think it was in last year or something like that. We have for many years said that we have been 8 millions, but suddenly we became 10 millions. So 10 millions inhabitants, you can say. And 85% of us live in the south. Not where Jeanette and I live. We live in the very southern part, but the southern part of Sweden, you could say. The northern part is very wide, and it's not that well, you shouldn't say it's directly crowded up in the north with people. We still have our Swedish crown. Please observe the Swedish crown. The currency is approximately, if you have around 100 Swedish crowns, you would say it's about 11 euros approximately. Today we don't know, in fact, because we are so affected by everything that is happening around us as well. We have been an EU member since 1995.
Next slide, please. Very important is of course language skills. Today we will also talk about the language skills for each position available. But generally, you can say that most jobs here in Sweden requires good level of you can get by using English only, but for most work you need Swedish eventually. So if you know some Swedish already, it's always a plus. But I can also say that there are people that have some difficulties learning Swedish because Swedish people love to speak English and to practice their English. So you would probably do well in your daily life with your English. A few jobs for low-skilled workers with no Swedish. I mean, even if you are doing whatever, you will be needing Swedish. And if you please click the link here, we would like to show you where you can go to learn Swedish online. Is it working? Yes. And here you have a few language courses.
And you could say that it's a very basic one. It's a free language course, as you can see here. And it's very basic, but sometimes it can be good to use that one because it's an opportunity for you to get a little bit feeling for the Swedish language, so to speak. Is this something for me? Is it something that I can learn, and so on? They also have courses that will be a little bit more advanced, but then in that case you have to pay a fee for that. But the basic one is for free, so it's a good way to start just to get a hang of the language.
All right, so if we go back and to the next slide, please.
Yeah, and today we looked at the figures for the labor market statistics, and as you know, we, like everyone else in the whole world, we are also quite affected by the situation with the COVID-19. So the unemployment rates, they have in fact increased a lot here in Sweden. So you could say the unemployment rate for, we looked upon the figures in October because we have these kind of figures every month, and this is October, and the general unemployment rate in Sweden is approximately 9%. Among the youth, it's higher, it's 12.8, and there can be some local differences. For instance, where Jeanette and I work here in Malmö, it's very high among the young people, and also the general unemployment rates are quite high here in Malmö. So it can vary a lot, but it's increasing.
Mm-hmm. And how about working in Sweden? When you work full-time here, it's 40 hours per week. You get the 25 days of vacation per year paid. And we have no national minimum wage. That is because the Swedish labor market have agreements between the employers' organizations and the employees' organizations. So they decide on where the salary should be if you work by the hour or if you have a monthly salary. So you can also, if you like, when you come that far in your process, also go into the different sectors or professions and see where the salary should be approximately, more or less. So, and these agreements are between unions and employers, you could say. All right, next slide, please.
Just to check, Can everybody hear us? It's working.
Relaxed in the meanwhile.
Okay.
Next
Now is my
slide.
screen.
Now it's great.
Now it's good. Next slide. All right. So we have some Swedish employers looking for software developers. And mostly, as you can see here, it is C#, .NET, Java, and other object-oriented languages. And we don't have very much information about this. We know that there is quite a lot of employers still, because this sector has not really been affected of the corona situation. So they are still, and maybe even working more, since all companies and organizations are needing this tools to be able to communicate and do things digitally. So if you want more information about these kinds of positions, please contact our EURES advisor colleagues. As you can see here, Jerker Claesson and Mats Nilsson. So they have contact with these employers. I don't know if you will see this, have this presentation somewhere, or you just take a screenshot of this now. Okay?
Yeah, and we can only add in that Jerker, for instance, he's working here in Malmö with us, the southern part, and Mats is he's in Stockholm, in the Stockholm area. But they work all over the country, so
yes.
It's but mainly if you are interested in a special part like the southern or the middle of Sweden.
So next slide, please.
Yeah, here you can see, I hope at least, I hope you can see a picture of, yes, what do you think? What city can it be? Danielle, do you recognize the city?
This is Gothenburg.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, just an overview how the city is. We have trams, in fact, in Gothenburg. It's one of the few cities in Sweden that still has trams.
So if we take the next slide, please. And now we come to next sector, and that is health. And it's the Grienski Hospital in Gothenburg. And they are looking for nurses to permanent positions. And as you can see here, it's for EU educated nurses or non-EU educated nurses. But then it's very important that you have a minimum of 3 years work experience as a registered nurse in an EU EES country. And the nurses they are looking for is in the psychiatric care. And the link you have here is to our Swedish job day, the 26th of November. So I don't know if it's published with you in Spain, but the employer wants you very much to go into the website and register, because on the day of the 26th, you will be able to have a chat and a short interview with the employer. So if you please click the link, just to have a look. Is it possible?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, a minute.
And we are not going to go through all of it. We were just thinking that there is so much information. We don't see it yet, but maybe it's behind somewhere.
Sorry, many of the positions that Jeanette and I am going to talk about in the next slides, they are in fact the employers. They have already uploaded the vacancies at the European Online Job Day portal. So since we are going to have that event the 26th of November, we would like to share it with you today, so you have the opportunity, if you need more information, and see the specific requirements for each positions. You can go in, you can read about it, and there is also contact details for the employers, who to contact if you need further information before the event, the 26th as well.
Exactly.
So you will have the link also in the next slides, because we are referring very much to the Swedish day that we call it on the EURES portal.
Mm-hmm. So not only the different departments or where you will be working, it's also about the recruitment process, about the Swedish language, because you will be expected to study Swedish before you come to Sweden, and then also get the send all your documents for recognition. So all these details, and that you can apply for Swedish courses in advance and so on, everything you can read on this website. So even if we don't see it now, please have a look at it later. All right?
Yes, and
next slide, please.
Yes, and this is the capital of Sweden, an overview. It's Stockholm. Fantastic, beautiful city, in our opinion, at least.
Yeah.
So, and there we have a big university hospital, Karolinska.
So if you please change slides.
Yeah. And they are looking for nurses. You have to apply for a license to practice as a nurse. And you also need a formal recognition of your professional qualifications. And mainly it's the Swedish Board of Health and Welfare, what we call in Sweden Socialstyrelsen, who issues those kind of certifications after the education has been sort of recognized. But all these details can also be found on the Swedish day, the 26th of November, because there are going to be representatives for both Sahlgrenska and also Karolinska University Hospital in Stockholm. As you can see, they are looking for permanent position as a nurse, heart and vascular. So you need also to have that special specialist education as well. And they also have this is hard to pronounce.
Neurology.
Thank you, Jeanette. So you can read a lot more on the Swedish Day on the portal about these positions. And we can also add both Sahlgrenska in Gothenburg and Karolinska University Hospital in Stockholm. They are also providing help with the housing and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it can vary a little bit between the employers that we are representing today, how much they can assist you with. But these two hospitals, they are used to recruit from Spain previously and from other countries within EU. So they have good, you could say they have good, a good system to help out.
And we can also add that they are because if they think that you fit well in their hospitals, they will take so good care of you to see that you will get into the system and into the job and find your way. And during the time you study Swedish and before you come to Sweden, they will be in contact with you. So if we could have next slide, please. What ska vi se här?
Yes, and we also at Karolinska have the need of biomedical biomedical scientists, and it's also a permanent position as biomedical scientist. And we can also add, it's not only the possibility of the Swedish day to get in touch and know something more about both nurses and in this case biomedical scientists. You will also have a address to an email address to our colleagues that works with those employers. It's called health@arbetsförmedlingen.se, and you will have all the links to the different specialists within these areas. You can also address questions to that mailbox if you would like to know something more and not address the question directly to the employer, because sometimes you need to know something, that maybe you don't want to ask the employer. Then you have the possibility to write to our colleagues that works within the health group.
Yeah.
I think Danielle wrote the address, the email address, if I saw it correctly. I just saw it at a glimpse. Yeah.
Next slide, please. So next one, we come to dentists. I think you got one slide too far. Du har väl den nya,
If you
go back one slide, please.
Yeah.
There you are. So there is a shortage of dentists as well in Sweden, mostly in the northern parts, but also in smaller cities around the country. So the general requirement is, of course, registered dentists within the UEA countries, motivated to learn Swedish, because here you will meet the Swedish patients, and they would probably want you to speak some Swedish. And good English, of course, major computer skills, but I guess everyone nowadays has. The employer will cooperate with offer supporting during the recruitment process and the relocation to Sweden. And here we have, once again, the address that Maria was talking about earlier, health@arbetsförmedlingen.se, because these positions are not on the Swedish day, EUD, the 26th. So if you're interested to work as a dentist in Sweden, you will get our emails later on, you can write to our colleagues at health@arbetsförmedlingen.se, and of course talk to our Spanish colleagues.
Yeah, but it's a good way to get the positions and everything like that if you contact our colleagues that are professionals dealing with dentists and nurses and doctors and everything like that. Yeah. Health group.
So if we can get the next slide, please.
As I mentioned, we have very recently started to work with some clinics, veterinarian clinics here in Sweden. And they are in fact also represented on the Swedish day, the 26th of November, with a risk of being very, repetitive, but we can't emphasize enough how good it would be if you join the 26th on European online job days. This clinic is in the southern part, as you can see, I think on the map. Yeah, Kalmar in this area, and it's called Anicura. It's a clinic that works with different kind of animals. I think they have both for horses and also small pets and everything like that. And they are looking for a veterinary surgeon with focus on emergency care, and also, as you can see, veterinary surgeon with focus on internal medicine, and they are also looking for veterinary nurse with experience in working with anesthesia. That is something that we are lacking here in Sweden, in fact. So they are very eager to get in contact with those kind of professionals. And they also have their ad on the portal, the European Online Job Days. I can also mention that this is also licensed profession, like the nurses and the dentists as well. In this case, it's what we say in Sweden, Jordbruksverket, that issues those kind of certifications. It's called the Swedish Board of Agriculture. But they will assist you and also tell you how to proceed with if you are interested in this. And we also have a mailbox called vets@arbetsförmedlingen.se. You will see it further on in a few slides, all the addresses to the mailboxes. But if you have further questions and would like to address it to the EURES advisors here in Sweden that works with vets, you can use that inbox.
The next slide, please. Oh yeah, now it's our town where we work, and I'm born here in Malmö. As you can see, we have the turning torso here on the picture, and it's a Spanish architect that I now can't remember.
Calatrava.
Calatrava. I guess you know about this architect. So if we go to next slide, will be the slide of teachers.
Yes. For instance, we have a quite big lack of teachers, professional teachers in Sweden. Okay, and in this case, we only have Malmö municipality for the time being, and that is because of, you can say that many of the different municipalities, they are waiting for the budget to come here in November for the different municipalities in order to see how much can we sort of put on in the school area, because everybody's affected of this situation, the current situation. Malmö, however, has announced that they are still looking for quite a lot of teachers, and they are looking for teachers that mainly works in the elementary school, or you could say the compulsory school instead. And in this case, you can talk or address a question to the employer as representative. In this case, it's the development coordinator in Malmö municipality. His name is Daniel Lindblad, and he can provide you with further information, because there are a lot of schools in Malmö, and they are all looking for different kind of teachers. So he can provide you with more information if you are interested. And it's also a licensed profession here in Sweden. So if you want to pursue a permanent position as a teacher, you need to have the Swedish certificate as a teacher. And before you can have that certificate, you need to reach a certain level of the Swedish language. So, in fact, we recruited from Spain earlier this year to Borås municipality. They recruited 7 teachers from Spain. They started in the end of February this year, and you know what happened a few weeks later when the coronavirus hit us hard. But they are still, 5 of them are still working in Borås, and they have been provided with Swedish lessons as well, but they started to read Swedish back home in Spain. And during, you could say, 10 months or something like that before they came to Sweden, they had follow-ups via Skype with the employer and so on, and they were checking how is the progress with the Swedish language going on and so on. And we will give you information about the targeted mobility scheme, like your first EURES job, where you can apply for the cost maybe of a language course. We will do that further on.
All right, next slide, please. So now we come to something completely different. This is my area. It's about chefs and hospitality. So here we have Falkenberg Strandbad. This is, if I might say so, a lovely place by the sea, as you can see in the picture. I don't know if you're able to read what it says from, maybe you are on your mobile phone, but they are needing both chefs and cooks, and also waiters and waitresses, and what will be, I mean, they are employing already now. So, and we don't expect you to know Swedish at all. But you have to be really good in English then. And of course, have the training as cook or chef, and also experience of a couple of years. And if you're a waiter or waitress or bartender perhaps, and would like to apply, it's very important with the English language, and also that you're very, very, not only very skilled in your profession, also that you feel very comfortable, because if you are meeting people that don't speak English as their mother tongue, you will also maybe meet people that are not that comfortable to talk and order in English. So you have to be able to handle this situation. Anyway, this employer will offer accommodation. It's usually shared accommodation at a low cost. The salary will be according to, as I mentioned before, the collective agreements, and there they go by how much experience you have, more or less. And if you have questions about this, or if you want to apply, I would suggest you to first of all contact the Spanish EURES, because there you can get some more information. You're also welcome to contact me before you send your application. Maybe we can help you a little bit on the way. So they are employing now, but I guess if you're not able to start now, maybe there will be an opportunity also for next year. And if we don't know what will happen in the future, no one does, but maybe there will be also positions for the summer season. Actually, in this picture, I've noticed that there is a little, it says about the summer season 2020, and just don't think about that. They are employing now, okay? So if I can have next slide, please. Yeah.
Janet?
Yeah.
Maria?
Yeah.
Well, finish with the vacancies, because I have questions from candidates for you.
All right.
But finish with the vacancy, please.
All right. So next one here is Eriksberg. As you can see, it's they work on the Northern Europe's largest wildlife enclosure. And so everything about this place is about nature and about wildlife. So they have this animals that they take care of. So they do everything from bringing up the animals until it's on the plate. So they have safaris and all kinds of things. I would recommend you to go into their website and read some more about this. They have a lot of well-known chefs actually working there now. For example, there is someone from the Michelin restaurant, the Fat Duck in London. So they are really trying to get even higher in their, in their expectations, and to give the best to their customers, even if they have now already for several years been one of the best places in the region. And they are for the moment looking for sommeliers or wine stewards. And so I might add that the requirements are quite high. Here you will also, of course, get some accommodation close to the park, but there can also be accommodation close by. It depends on what you would prefer. So I think this was it from this vacancy. So if we can have next slide, please.
Yeah, this is a company called Northvolt, and they are building, in fact, it's our colleague in the north, Annika Sund, our EURES advisor, Annika Sund. She wanted us to promote this company because they are building a huge factory in Skellefteå, in the northern part of Sweden, where they are going to produce battery cells and everything like that, because it's an increasing branch, you could say, with all the electrical cars that are coming and everything like that. Northvolt is quite a big company. They also have a Northvolt lab in Västerås in Sweden. And in fact, there are already recruited people from abroad, from mainly from Europe. And they have started, some of them have already started in Västerås in their research and development department, which they have in Västerås. And they are supposed to go to Skellefteå next year. I think in the first quarter of next year, they are going to open the plant in Skellefteå. And they are looking for so many workers there. And Annika asked us to promote their website, as you can see on the slide, I think, www.northvolt.com. If you click on that link and go under the small piece that's called career, you will see all kind of positions that are available there. It's not only in Sweden, because they have some plants in abroad as well, but in this case, we are mainly promoting the Skellefteå plant, who is going to open next year. If you have further questions, like we have mentioned earlier, you can also contact our colleague Annika Sund, who works with this employer. You have the contact details, annika.sund@arbetsförmedlingen.se, on the slide as well. She can also provide you with more specific information regarding the Skellefteå plant.
So if we can have next slide, please, just to show you a little bit, Skellefteå is up north. Then they have the headquarters in Stockholm and the development center, you can say, in Västerås. So, and then for the next slide, please. Here is about finding a job in Sweden. Maybe questions
Janet?
now?
Yes, we have questions. I don't know if you hear me well, because
We hear you perfectly.
Okay,
more or less.
Well, some questions. Adja asked us about job opportunities for people expert in arts, libraries, or humanities in Sweden. It's a complicated sector everywhere.
Yeah, it is. And it has been, even if we have had a good labor market the last years here in Sweden. In fact, those areas are in fact not so affected by a high conjuncture. It still is the same, that everybody's agreeing that we need more of it, but no one is willing to put in the money that is needed.
So we will not hear of any need in this. It will solve itself somehow. So there are lots of people interested and not that many possibilities. So that is why we in the EURES Sweden almost never ever hear anything about it.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
Okay, second question is from Maria. Maria had a friend living in Sweden, and she told her that the Arbetsförmedlingen, I said okay?
Yeah,
okay.
Arbetsförmedlingen.
Won't help you to find a job if you arrive to Sweden during the first year. I'm sorry, because I tried to write down the question. And she does.
Okay, so
Arbetsförmedlingen won't help you if you are European to find a job when you arrive to Sweden, and you can have access to any program until you have lived there for more than 1 year.
Yeah, the thing is, this is about the program within the public employment, Swedish public employment service. So it's not that you can come and get a program for something like internship or something like this. Because if you're from another EU country, you are expected, you can go anywhere to look for a job. So you are supposed to go where the jobs are. Even if the situation now, of course, is a bit difficult for everyone, it's not that we are, because it's not possible for us to do anything. Usually it's for young people looking for a job. They are very much on their own.
Sorry. I suppose it is related with the special job programs in order to put into the labor market the special groups of people as youngsters or long-term unemployed people in that kind of situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also
sorry,
the public.
Maria. Sorry, Maria, please.
No. Okay. The public employment service in Sweden are also going through a change. So we have a sort of, you know, the government says you are going to work with these groups of people and so on. And there's a lot of focus on, for instance, disabled people or newly arrived people from a country from outside the EU, like the refugees that came here to Sweden 2015 and so on. They have access to different kind of programs. So yeah.
So we are on our way to private, to getting from public to private.
Yeah.
The public employment service. Yes.
Okay. There are questions also about two professions in particular: physiotherapist.
Yes, we have for physiotherapists, but for the time being, we haven't received any knowledge about that at the moment.
Address the question if there is someone listening to us now from this area. Address the question to our colleagues in the health group, health@arbetsförmedling.se, because they can provide you with information, because there are, at least I know, early this year, they were looking for physiotherapists. So please write to them and they can provide you all the information, what is required, how do you get a license and everything like that.
And of course, you can also have a look at the portal.
Yeah.
EURES portal.
Yeah. But in fact, they also have contact with different employers, and I'm quite sure that they can provide some useful information.
Okay. The other profession is about high school secondary teachers.
Yeah. There
are possibilities for them.
Yeah, there are some possibilities. We are not working currently with that specific sector in the school, but I know, and we have been discussing with those who are responsible for that kind of age group for the young people, and they sort of say yes, but we have enough now. We can find teachers and so on. But we know by the demographic situation and everything that the requirements and the need of teachers, because there are quite some old teachers that are going to be pensioned, and we have a lot of children growing up and getting older and older, and they are supposed to go to a higher level of studies. So, but the employers are not really there in their mind yet that they will face also a lack of professional teachers in those age groups. But there are possibilities, of course, but it's the same as if you go to compulsory school or the primary school. You need to have some Swedish knowledge because it's a requirement, you can say, for all the teaching professions. You must be able to communicate with the pupils, and in some cases you need to deal with the parents as well. And so there are some requirements for the Swedish language, but it's not impossible. No, it's possible during this.
Okay, and the last question until now, we will keep later asking you questions. Okay, is from Elizabeth. Elizabeth has been living in Sweden, in Luleå, working for the LTU University, and now is in Spain. Okay, but her contract is finishing now this month, and she asked us if it would be possible for her to come back to Sweden, and if her person number is already valid after 1 year out of Sweden.
Yes, it's still valid, because that personal number that you have obtained, Elizabeth, I think your name was, it's still valid because it's yours. So even if you live abroad for maybe 5 years or something like that, it's still valid. You can sort of bring it to life when you register back in Sweden.
No one else will ever get that number because it's
yours.
Okay, and Elizabeth has asked also about job opportunities in research. For instance, environment, climate change, biotech.
Yeah, this is the same as we said before. It's not that there is a shortage. That is why we don't get to know much about it. But of course, there are those kinds of positions. And I would recommend you, if you could have a look at arbetsförmedlingen.se at our Platsbanken. It will be written in Swedish, most of it, but hopefully you can find a word for what you're looking for. If you look on environment or something like this, and you put the word and you see what you get. There are also other links where you can might find something, but this will be a research job for you to do. And of course, you can always maybe get in contact with us, and maybe we could help you with some suggestions or maybe where to look or so on.
And you also have the so to speak, overall EURES at arbetsförmedlingen.se as well. But I would say this is an area where I think, and especially since you've been working in Sweden previously, I think you can have some good chances, because this is an area that is really, really very actually nowadays in Sweden, because everybody's very concerned about the environment and everything, and we are talking about the green the green line, how to speak, that we are needed to put focus on sustainability and everything like that. So I think it's an area that are in progress. So I definitely think with your earlier experience, I would suggest that you look at maybe Lund's University and all the different universities in Sweden and see. And for instance, so I don't think it's impossible for you, definitely not, because a lot of companies are also aware of that they need to put some effort and also to really have this area growing.
Okay.
Was it a sufficient answer or?
Yes, I think so. Let's keep going with the presentation. I have a couple of more questions, but maybe better at the end. Okay.
Can we have the next slide then, please? So we would like to mention a little bit about the target mobility schemes and your first year's job. For this is really a possibility that you should take if you get a job here in Sweden or if you get to an interview. So if you have heard about it, we will not be prolong this, but you can apply for financial support in connection with moving to Sweden. And kan du gå tillbaka?
Yes.
So if you're moving, you can also use it if you're moving to somewhere else, not to Sweden, even if we would like you to come here. So if you, let's say you are moving to Norway or Germany or something, you can still apply for this through the Swedish project. And there is also for employers, if they employ you. So this is an incentive, you can say, for employers to hire people from another EU country. We will also go into the website a little bit. So it's for job interviews, language courses, relocation, family, recognition of qualifications. And there are lots and lots of very good information at this website. Do we have time to have a look at it, if it's possible?
We can also say, as add to this, that, for instance, the language courses, it can be useful for you, since we have been talking about the different occupations that are licensed, and you need the language in order to get the license once you are in Sweden. And then you can apply for the cost of a language course, because if you can address to the employer and say, I have already started to learn Swedish and everything, it will increase your possibilities to get a job here in Sweden. So it's possible, even if you don't have a specific job offer, exactly. you can say that you increase your possibilities if you have started the Swedish language course. So it's possible for you to apply for a certain amount of money for the language course. But it's very important that all these kind of different pieces in this targeted mobility scheme, it's always that you need to apply for it in advance. So you have to, for instance, if you're going to an interview in Sweden and the employer doesn't pay for the cost, then you have to apply before you go to Sweden for an interview. You have to apply before you start the language course, and also, of course, before you move to Sweden. And it's also a possibility, because some of these occupations that we have been talking about, is a cost to have the license issued by the proper authority. So you can apply for the cost of the recognition of qualifications if you want to. But it's also everything you could say is in advance. So don't forget, if you are going for the job interview, don't leave Spain, go to Sweden and apply afterwards, because then it's not possible to have this kind of.
And if you go to this website and have a look, you will get a very, very good information. I guess we couldn't manage to get in there, but please have a look. It's very simple, and the application form is not that difficult. And we are, of course, there to assist you if you need.
Yeah.
So now the next slide, please.
And I can also add, if I can do so, your first EURES job and the TMS scheme, they are going to be represented on the Swedish day, the 26th. So you have the opportunity to address questions directly to the project that are handling the applications and everything like that. And of course, you can address a question to them anytime. But if you are going to attend the Swedish day, then you can bear in mind that they are also represented that day.
So here is one of the last slides, just to show you all the different sectors. If you want to contact us by sector, we have chefs, health, tech, teachers, and vets. And I guess you can fit in somewhere here. And if not, you can contact either me or Maria, of course, and we can see we can assist you. And next slide, please, is just to show you how it looks Swedish day, the 26th. We have been nagging a little bit about this, but we would really like you to go there and register, because most of the positions that we have been talking about, you can find there, and you can also find the employers' information, and you can chat with employers, maybe get a short interview. So I think this was it. So the very, very last is our contact information. And of course, you are welcome to contact us, even if it has to do with something else than what we have been talking about today. So, if you had some questions?
Okay. Thank you so much, Jeanette and Maria. The screen is moving a bit and it's a bit confusing sometimes. And well, I have another question that is from the first one, Hadja, asking us where she could get info about the art job market in Sweden, maybe a specialized website or whatever. I think that could be better, maybe that she could send you an email asking especially for that, and
yeah,
you can give her a personalized advice.
Yeah, I think maybe if you contacted the EURES at arbetsförmedlingen.se.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's even better.
Because then she will have the general one instead of contacting health or,
Okay, there is another question. It is you can work in Sweden without, in hostelry, for instance, without bar experience and with a average basic English level, like roommate, room attendant, or cleaning, or that kind of jobs.
Yes, well, I think that many of these employers, even if you're doing cleaning, will expect you to know some Swedish. So if you, they would require Swedish because they are very, with all the chemicals that you perhaps are needing, it's very important to know that you can't use this one on that material and you can't do this on that floor and things like this. So it is hard for people that are already in Sweden, that doesn't speak Swedish, it's hard for them to get a job, even if they know English. So
I think I agree with Jeanette, because the employers are so afraid if it's going to be a misunderstanding. For instance, if you have chemicals that can hurt you if you can't read the details on the bottle or something like that, because the employer is responsible for the working situation for the employee.
Yeah.
So that's why they are so picky with at least some knowledge in Swedish. I would say almost, I think the area where it's I wouldn't say mandatory to have Swedish knowledge in all professions, but I think one of the professions that it's more common that they don't require any Swedish, it's in the ICT sector.
Yeah.
Because many times the work language is English. And in fact, we were talking about the plant in Skellefteå, the Northvolt plant. I forgot to mention that the work language in Northvolt is English, in fact. So there's,
Okay, there is another question that is about housing. Because we were talking about support for the job seekers, but there is any support, information program, or whatever, in order to look for or better find an accommodation in Sweden?
Yes, for the employers that we have been mentioning here, they are all aware that if you come from Spain to Sweden, it's difficult to find accommodation, of course. So they will either assist you on finding something, or they have staff accommodation that they can provide for the time being. Usually it's at your own cost, of course, because here, if you give accommodation for free, that is a way to avoid tax. And in Sweden, it's you like to pay your tax. So, but they will, of course, help you out. But if you are just applying for a job that you find on the EURES portal or something, it depends. If you're a highly skilled C# programmer and they really need you, they will do everything to help you with accommodation, but in other areas they won't, because they might find someone else easy. So really I recommend you to get in contact with us on every in what kind of area, profession it is, where in Sweden it is, because in Stockholm, for example, it's very difficult, like in every capital, I guess, to find something, and expensive too.
Housing is a problem everywhere in Europe.
Yeah.
So I have two more questions.
It's not strange to address the question to the employer and ask them, is it possible? Do you have any opportunities to help out with the housing and everything? It's nothing strange, especially not since you're coming from abroad.
Yeah. Not financially, though.
No,
not financially.
But to find.
Yeah.
Okay. I have two more questions here. One from Anna. Anna, it's moving. Anna asked us about the finance or bank sector. Working in customer services in that areas, for instance, and what digital skills are needed.
Yeah.
She also asked about the language question. I suppose that if you want to work in a bank in Sweden, you need to speak Swedish.
Yes. Yeah. And you need to have good Swedish, really.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not that, to know all the terms and banking terms, even if much could be like English, Swedish, you can still understand it. But since you're customers, and you will be needing Swedish. Yes.
And I have another question from Jose Luis. Jose Luis is a chemical technician. I think that maybe the vacancy from Stronghold, the one,
Yeah.
the one of Västerås.
Yes.
Could be interesting for him, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can contact our colleague Annika Sund, Daniel. If you provide him the link with Annika Sund's contact details, she can also inform him more, and maybe she can have access to his CV and so on.
Yeah, and because I think they need like 3,000
Yeah.
people for this plan.
Yeah.
So there will be many opportunities. So look also at northvolt.com.
And under the link with the careers there. But if he wants some more information, he can contact Annika Sund.
And also the tech group at at arbetsförmedlingen.se.
Yeah, and of course, I suppose these kind of professionals with a very good English skills could start working in Sweden. I mean, engineers.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And especially, as I mentioned, the Northvolt
company, yeah.
factory or the company, their working language is English.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
Okay.
It's easier in some of the professions as we have mentioned here. Yeah.
Okay. I think that was the last question. Is it okay? So if there are no more questions for the EURES Spain, I would like to thank you a lot for your permanent disposition to cooperate with us. This is a question of all the EURES Sweden, but in particular from you, Maria and Janet. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, I hope maybe we'll repeat a workshop like this next year with more updated information. And I know that you will be always open to participate with us. So thanks a lot.
Well, anytime.
Tack så mycket. I was looking for the word in my brain during all this time.
And all the people listening, stay safe now and
take care.
Take care.
Okay. Lo mismo para
Hope to
todos,
see you at the Swedish Day on the 26th.
Ok. Cuídense y no dejen de participar en el día sueco en la plataforma europeanjobdays.eu el día 26 de noviembre. Eso ya.
Thank you very much.
Venga,
Thank you. Bye-bye.